After a pretty depressing year for Star Wars, along came a show that practically no one was anticipating. And I can't quite believe I'm saying this, it's actually really good. Andor is without a doubt the best thing Disney has done with the Star Wars franchise so far. It manages to make the sequel trilogy look even more embarrassing than it did beforehand. It's a lot better than both Mandalorian seasons, and it puts both the Book of Boba Fett and Obi-Wan Kenobi to shame. First of all, from a visual standpoint, Andor takes one big humongous dump all over the previous live-action Star Wars shows. No longer is the series predominantly filmed in front of those big LED screens. This time, they actually built sets and filmed on location, and it shows. Both Boba Fett and Obi-Wan looked so flat and cheaply made. Mandalorian was slightly better, but you just cannot compare to actually filming on location, and I'm so glad Andor went down this route. Also, the cinematography is absolutely outstanding in this show. I know I keep comparing it to the previous Star Wars shows, but it's the best way I can express the levels that Andor reaches in terms of visuals. Both Obi-Wan and Boba Fett were shot so blandly. There was nothing interesting about the way the shots were composited, whereas Andor feels so much more cinematic than both of these shows. I think the best way that I can put it is when I watched both Book of Boba Fett and Obi-Wan, I felt like I was watching something filmed for TV. However, Andor feels like something that could easily be shown on the big screen, and not be on the same visual level as Thor: Love and Thunder. I mean, just look at it. Incredible. The acting in this show is also absolutely fantastic. Diego Luna, in my opinion, does a much better job here than he did in Rogue One. I found myself appreciating the character a lot more, and that was largely down to his performance. Stellan Skarsgård did an unbelievably great job as Luthen. The way he delivers that monologue at the end of episode 10 was perfect.
I burn my decency for someone else's future. I burn my life to make a sunrise that I know I'll never see.
Wow. That's good.
Genevieve O'Reilly steals every scene she's in as Mon Mothma. I didn't really care about the character very much before this show, but the writing and Genevieve's performance really upped the character for me. Denise Gough was also excellent as Dedra. She plays the role of this terrifying Imperial officer so well. However, for me, the star of the show was definitely Andy Serkis as Kino. Jesus, this guy can act. There's two moments in particular that really stand out to me. Number one, in the scene where rumors are circling around that something happened on level 2, Kino tries to calm everyone down, and the performance that Andy Serkis gives in this moment is incredible.
We have heard nothing. It's just another day, another shift. So let's keep our mouths shut, keep our heads down, until we know what's going on.
You can see how worried he gets as he slowly works out what is going on. Andy Serkis did such a great job here. The second moment that really stood out to me was the speech he gave when there was only
One way out.
really good stuff. Another thing, I find the lack of cameos and references to be really refreshing in this show. I mean, there's only so many times CGI deepfake Luke Skywalker can show up. Also, half the time, the cameos are just thrown in for the sake of getting an audience reaction. Take Qui-Gon Jinn in the Kenobi show, for instance. He just shows up at the end to basically say, I could have supported you in your fight with Vader. I didn't, but I'm here now. In fact, I was always here. The absence of this nostalgia bait is really going to help Andor stand out amongst shows that only seem to be interested in the past, rather than telling new stories with new characters. This is where I thought The Mandalorian was going before it became, oh look, it's Ahsoka. Oh look, it's Boba Fett. No way, it's Luke Skywalker from Star Wars Battlefront. Whereas Andor has none of that. These are new characters, new faces to the franchise that all add something unique and special. Unlike another character from a different Star Wars show that came out this year. There are so many little touches in this show that I really appreciated. For example, there's this quick 20-second moment where a TIE fighter comes flying past the main group. And the sound design of the TIE fighter is actually quite scary. Another thing, it was great to see Saw Gerrera again. I really liked him in Rogue One, so it was nice to see him appear in the show. I have to say, I think my favourite sequence in this entire thing might be the eye in episode 6. I wish I could have seen this on the big screen because it just looks phenomenal. It honestly might be the best Star Wars has ever looked. I think what makes this sequence so great, aside from the acting and the music, which by the way is brilliant throughout the entire show, is how they built up to it in the previous 2 episodes. When it actually happens, you feel the intensity, you know how hard the group worked to make this happen. Following very closely behind it though, as my second favourite sequence, is the escape from Narkina 5. Everything in this sequence is exceptional, whether it be the cinematography, the music, the acting from Andy Serkis when he's delivering that speech, or the ending where the 3 words from Kino,
Can't swim. What? What did he say? Can't swim.
are genuinely awful to listen to when you know what he's been through to get to this point. I really hope this isn't the last we've seen of Kino because Andy Serkis just did such a great job, and I just really want to see more of him. Hopefully we'll see him in season 2, but who knows. When it comes to my negatives, I don't really have any major problems. There are a couple of minor things though that bugged me. For example, episode 1 didn't really hook me. Overall, this is a much slower show than we're used to with Star Wars. I can definitely understand why they decided to have a 3-episode premiere because episode 1 was kind of boring. I don't think I would have felt the urge to carry on watching the show if they'd have only premiered with the first episode. I mean, in all honesty, I think the first 3 episodes could have very easily been shortened to 2. Episode 1 especially could have been cut down. However, this is only a minor complaint as the slower pace never bothered me throughout the rest of the show. In conclusion, Andor is definitely the best thing Disney has done with the Star Wars franchise up to now. I'm honestly kind of shocked that they managed to make something of genuine quality here. I'm savouring this moment as there'll no doubt be Book of Boba Fett Season 2 and Obi-Wan Season 2 that'll probably be bad. I just hope The Mandalorian Season 3 isn't terrible, and hopefully the quality of Andor continues into Season 2. I filmed this review before the finale, so hopefully it's good and I haven't jinxed it. Thank you all very much for watching this video, I hope you enjoyed it. See you next time, goodbye!